Hello guys, I Dr. Virendra Kumar Gupta, Associate Professor, Department of Pediatrics, NIMS Medical College and Hospital, welcome you in your YouTube channel, and today we will discuss about the urinary tract infection in children. That is very hot topic and that is important in view of all aspect of your NEET, USMLE, MBBS, MD in all kinds of the examination. So guys, our learning objectives are urinary tract, definition of the UTI, epidemiology, etiology, classification, pathogenesis, risk factor of the UTI, clinical presentation of the UTI, diagnosis, treatment, complication, and how to prevent the recurrent of UTI or urinary tract infection. The urinary tract is divided into the two parts, upper and lower urinary tract, where the upper urinary tract having the kidney and ureter, and in the lower there is the bladder and urethra. So definition of the urinary tract infection is any growth of significant number of organisms in the urine of a single species in the presence of symptom which can be confirmed by the positive urine culture. So there are four terminologies important. There should be significant number of the organisms of a single species with the symptom, or should be confirmed by the culture positive. That is the gold standard for the urinary tract infection. The recurrent urinary tract infection is defined as, is there any recurrency of the symptoms with the significant bacteria? There we will in the next slide we will discuss about the significant bacteria with the patient having recovered clinically following the treatment, and now again symptoms is appear. So the significant bacteria is defined as a growth of single pathogen in case of midstream urine sample in toilet training patient or toilet trained child, 1 lakh colony forming unit per ml of urine. If the patient is catheterized sample, there is 50,000 colony forming unit per milliliter of the sample, and in neonate or the child who could not toilet trained or not toilet trained, the suprapubic sample can be taken. In this, there in any uropathogenic bacteria is present, that is significant and called as significant bacteria. If there is significant bacteria in the absence of symptom in the UTI, that is known as asymptomatic bacteria. And there is two forms, is the simple and complicated form. In the simple is there is any underlying renal or neurological disease assessed with the low grade fever, dysuria, frequency and urgency of the urination. While in the complicated UTI there is underlying structural, medical or neurological disease associated with the fever that is more than 39 degrees centigrade with the systemic toxicity, persistent vomiting, dehydration, renal angle tenderness or suprapubic tenderness along with the raised creatinine level. And recurrent UTIs is as more than 3 symptomatic UTIs within the 12 months following the clinical therapy or clinical treatment. That's two forms. There is the reinfection is known if there is recurrent UTI caused by the different pathogen at any time, while the relapse is known as if there is infection by the same species causing the UTI within 2 weeks following the therapy. So another definitions are, if there is acute pyelonephritis where the infection of the one or both kidneys along with the pyuria, fever or painful micturition. In chronic pyelonephritis, this is the particular type of the pathology in kidney that may or may not be due to the infection, while the urethritis as known as the infection of the urethra where the dysuria, urgency, frequency of the urination is found. In case of the cystitis, there is an infection of the urinary bladder, there is also dysuria, frequency, urgency of or pyuria may be found. fever may or may not be present. Epidemiologically, this is very important. Clinical or common bacterial infection found in the children and infants where the less than 14 year of age groups, this is very significantly found in the girl child, that's 3 to 10%, while in the male child that's found as 1 to 3% of the boys. While in the neonatal or infancy age, this is male preponderance, while in the more than 1 to 2 year of age, there is female preponderance that is very high, 10 times more than the males. So, etiologically, there is most commonly cause of the urinary tract infection is the E. coli, where the 90% of the first symptomatic UTI or 70% of the recurrent UTI is found due to the E. coli. In female child, that is found as E. coli in 75 to 95% of the patient are infected with the E. coli. Other infections are Klebsiella and Proteus, while in the male, Proteus and E. coli is almost similar, and gram-positive infection may also be found. While in the, if we can see in the both organ, there is Saprophyticus, or group B, Streptococcus and Enterococcus are the common organism. In recurrent UTI, there is a Proteus and Pseudomonas is the common, while in the immunocompromised patient, there is a fungal infection is found, and in preterm, Candida albicans is the common cause of the UTI. Pathogenetically, there is different kind of the pathogenesis found. There is ascending infection nearly found in the all kind of the UTIs, where the bacteria arise from the fecal material in the female child usually, and in the male there is beneath the prepuce is the colonization of the bacteria found in the perineum. That's ascent towards the bladder, that is by the urethra, that is known as the cystitis, infection of the bladder, that's the cystitis, and that may also ascend towards the kidney, that is known as the pyelonephritis. In the descent infection, that is through the hematogenous route, and that's rarely found in case of the neonatal period, that is through the bacteremia or bacterial infection in the blood that descend towards the kidney, that is the pathogenetically found. And when the bacteria is found go to the mucosal layer of the urinary tract, the bacterial addition through the fimbriae or pili goes to, and the addition activate the cytokinins which produce the adenosines, and this adenosine causes the chemotaxis of the leukocytes. There are two kind of the fimbriae, there the type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is the mannose sensitive and type 2 is the mannose resistant. In the type 1 there is this having no role in the pyelonephritis, this not added with the fimbriae, and type 2 fimbriae is the mannose resistant, so having the receptor on the Gal-1,4 or Gal oligosaccharides P fimbriae, that is causing pyelonephritis in case of 76 to 95% of the children. There are some risk and protective factor for the urinary tract infection. There is the protection if the child is passing normally without the resistant perineal resistance urine, regular or complete voiding or complete emptying of the bladder, there is no operative antimicrobial urolithial activities, or there is unidirectional flow of the urine and having unobstructed urine transport. While if there is urolithiasis, is there any intrarenal reflexes, there is cephalocaudal, there is compound papillae or acquired papillae, there is vagicourethric reflex. If there is obstructive uropathy due to any region at any level, if there is any defective urolithial defenses or imbalanced voiding due to the neurogenic bladder may found infrequent or incomplete voiding, and if there is constipation or inflammation of the perineal region, if there is diverticula or periurethral colonization due to the soilage in the diaper or due to the encopresis, or inflammation due to the diaper rashes, or there is tube bath or bubble bath, or if there is any anatomical changes, that is phimosis or labral adhesions, etc. So UTIs having two basic forms. If there is upper urinary tract involvement, that's known as the pyelonephritis. If there is lower urinary tract infection, that's known as the cystitis. In the pyelonephritis, if there is parenchymal involvement or not involvement in the if parenchymal involvement, that is known as the acute pyelonephritis. If parenchymal involvement is not found, that's known as the pyelitis. Initially, the localized renal parenchymal masses may be found, that is known as the acute lobar nephronia, or nephrons, single nephron or lobe of the nephrons is involved, and that may lead to the infection or abscess found in the any renal masses, or that may spread perirenal areas or perinephric areas, that's known as the perinephric abscess. Cystitis is known as the infection of the urinary bladder that may be rarely found stage. If there is blood in the urine, that's known as the acute hemorrhagic cystitis, or there may be some inflammatory or eosinophilic causes, that's the eosinophilic cystitis, or if there is infection of the urethra, that's known as the urethritis. Clinical feature as per the site of involvement, that is in pyelonephritis, there is the invasive form is found. Due to this, there is abdominal pain, back pain, flank pain is the found, and fever, malaise, nausea, vomiting, and some kind occasionally diarrhea may also be found. Some of the patient fever may be the only manifestation in case of the pyelonephritis, while in the newborn there is non-specific symptoms only found. These are such as poor feeding, irritability, jaundice, and weight loss or failure to thrive. In less than 24 month of age child, bacterial infection or UTI is very serious infection, and some patient having the renal injury, that's termed as the pyelonephritic scarring. That's a very important thing, and we should prevent the renal injury and scarring of the kidney. In cystitis, there is painful micturition or dysuria, frequency and urgency of the urination, pelvic discomfort, lower abdominal pain, pus in the urine, or some bad odor or malodorous urine. Cystitis usually not having fever, and there is renal injuries very unlikely. In rare cases of the cystitis, blood in the urine, that is known as acute hemorrhagic cystitis. In case of xanthogranulomatous pyelonephritis, the granulomatous inflammation with the giant and foamy cells histiocytes may be found. There is renal calculi, obstruction, and proteus infection is found, and there is needful total or partial nephrectomy. Clinically, we should evaluate or promptly recognize the urinary tract infection and should be treated as soon as possible to prevent the renal scarring. So, history taking is very important with the physical examination, and investigation is the part of clinical evaluation. In the history taking, a patient come to the acute illness with the fever, any urinary symptoms having the dysuria, painful micturition, burning micturition, any abdominal pain, lower abdominal pain, suprapubic discomfort, back pain, flank pain, any vomiting, recent illness is found, or patient is taking any antibiotic due to these symptoms. So risk factor for the UTIs are found as if there is any chronic urinary symptoms, constipation in the child, having the previous history of the urinary tract infection or previous undiagnosed febrile illness, having history of the vagico-urethric reflex, family history of the frequent UTI, VUR or other genitourinary abnormalities, or antenatally diagnose any renal abnormalities, the risk factors. In case of the chronic sequelae of the UTI, patient having poor growth or elevated blood pressure. Physically, we should examine the patient whole as taking the blood pressure and temperature to be taken, all vital parameter to be taken, growth parameter, weight gain, if patient having failure to thrive, found in the chronic or recurrent UTI. In abdominal examination, we should see about the any suprapubic tenderness, any abdominal mass that may be found in case of the enlarged bladder or enlarged kidney, and is there any costovertebral tenderness. In external genitalia, there may be anatomical abnormalities that are phimosis, labial adhesion or ectopic ureter. Any signs of the vulvovaginitis or vaginal or foreign body may also be found. Evaluation of the lower back signs of the occult myelomeningocele is very important, and evaluation for the other cause of fever is very important to rule out the urinary tract infection. Next is the investigation is very important tool where the urine microscopy is very important with the urine analysis, and urine culture is the gold standard to diagnose the urinary tract infection, and imaging technique as the ultrasonography, DMSA scan, micturating cystourethrogram, CT or MRI can be required. So before to examine or before to investigate, the collection of sample is very important. If your child is toilet trained, midstream clean voided sample is preferred. As you can see in these pictures that midstream sample is preferred. If the child is not toilet trained or very young or infant, catheterization or suprapubic aspiration is the gold standard for collection of the urinary sample. So urine sample obtained in the sterile bag is not useful for urine culture. So all urine culture should be examined as soon as possible. So when we taken the sample, we should examine within the 1 hour of the urinary collection. If the urine can be stored and in refrigerator at the 4 degrees centigrade up to the 24 hour, and urine culture can be repeated in case of the contamination suspected. The diagnostic criteria, as I told you, that the suprapubic aspiration having any number of the pathogens, the 99% probability of the UTI is suspected. In urethral catheterization, if there is more than 50,000 colony forming unit per ml, that's having 95% of the probability. While the midstream clean case sample, if there is more than 10⁵ or 1 lakh colony forming unit per ml of the urine, having 90 to 95% of probability of the urinary tract infection. In urinary findings, there is very important for the urine analysis. There is the in abnormal urine sample or suspected urinary tract infection, pH is increased, that's alkaline, while the appearance of the urine is cloudy, the deep umber yellow color may be found, patient having foul smelling, maybe blood or RBC in the urine, while the leukocyte esterase for the WBC count is present, and bacteria also be found in the urine. So urine analysis having if the presence of pus, WBC or red blood cells with the significant bacteriuria, that is known as if there is more than 10 WBC per millimeter cube of the urine in uncentrifuged sample, while in the centrifuge sample that is more than 5 WBCs per millimeter cube is the significant pyuria. While the leukocyte esterase dipstick found in case of the WBC or in the urine, and nitrite dipstick test found pink color during the positive urinary tract infection. While the urine culture is done for the pyelonephritis, this is not a rapid diagnostic tool, but this is the gold standard for the urinary tract infection. If there is significant bacteriuria, that as I told you previously, or DLC count is if there is increased neutrophils is found, that is very significant for the urine culture. So criteria is if there is pyuria and bacteriuria both are present, that is the confirmed UTI cases. If pyuria is present and bacteria is absent, that may be a contamination and repeated sample is required. If there is bacteria in the absence of the pyuria, that is known as asymptomatic bacteria, or symptoms are absent in these cases. So in case of first time diagnosis of the UTI, we should rule out the anatomical abnormalities or structural abnormalities of the urinary tract. There are multiple guidelines, but there is some simple guidelines are there. If there is age of the child is less than 1 year, we should go through all the urinary ultrasonography, micturating cystourethrogram and DMSA scan to be done. If the age of the child is 1 to 5 year, USG and DMSA to be done. If anyone is abnormal, MCU can be done. In case of more than 5 year of age child, USG to be done. If abnormal, DMSA and MCU can be done. In case of recurrent UTI, any age group of the child is required, USG, MCU and DMSA scan. USG, where the USG knows about the kidney size, hydronephrosis, is there any bladder abnormalities, or there is any post-void urinary residue. While the DMSA scan knows about the renal parenchymal infection or cortical scarring or structural abnormalities of the urinary tract, and micturating cystourethrogram is deal with the anatomical details of the bladder and urethra, and if there is vagico-urethric reflex is found. So other lab finding is also important. In case of the acute renal infection, there is leukocytosis, neutrophilia and elevated ESR with raised CRP may be found. In renal abscesses, there is very high count of the WBCs, and in case of the sepsis, which is common in the infant and obstructive uropathy, blood culture is very important too. When we find a case of the urinary tract infection or as diagnosed, we should go through the treatment, and our goals is to eliminate the infection and prevent the urosepsis, relieve the acute symptoms, or prevention and recurrences of the long-term complication of the urinary tract infection. Prevention of the renal scarring is very important, and impair renal growth and functions, and prevention of the hypertension in the children. So treatment is very important. If there is child is less than 3 months of age or complicated UTI is there, child should be hospitalized and IV antibiotic to be started. Third generation cephalosporin are preferred with the single daily dose of aminoglycosides if there is renal functions or creatinine are normal. That can be given IV for 2 to 3 days and followed by oral therapy. A duration of total therapy is 10 to 14 days. In second condition, if there is child is more than 3 months of age or there is simple UTI, oral antibiotic can be started. That is the common condition. If there is failure to respond with the resistance or non-compliance, IV antibiotic can be shifted. Total duration of therapy to be 7 to 10 days. In adolescent with the cystitis, shorter duration of the therapy around 3 to 4 days is sufficient, while the prophylactic antibiotic therapy is required for the less than 1 year of the child until the imaging is normal. So treatment of the acute cystitis should be promptly and prevent possible progression of the pyelonephritis or renal scarring. So empirical treatment to be given as cotrimoxazole or trimethoprim effective for the E. coli, and nitrofurantoin is also effective, having the advantage and active against the Klebsiella and Enterobacter organism also, while the amoxicillin is also effective as initial treatment but has no clear advantage over the sulfonamides and nitrofurantoin. In case of the pyelonephritis, parenteral therapy to be started as ceftriaxone is the drug of choice. Cefotaxime, amikacin, gentamicin or coamoxiclav can also be taken, while the oral therapy is required in case of the uncomplicated UTI, that is the cefixime can be given at the dose of 8 to 10 milligram twice a day. Other oral drugs are coamoxiclav, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, cephalexin can also be given. And in case of the recurrent UTI, cotrimoxazole or nitrofurantoin at the 30% of the dose to be given, and amoxicillin and cephalexin may also be used. Supportively, we should adequate maintain the hydration of the children with the plenty of the fluid, juice, cranberry juices, etc. And routine alkalinization is not required, while if there is fever, paracetamol can be given at the rate of 15 mg per kilogram per dose and repeat in 4 hours. Repeated urine culture is not required unless there is persistent of the fever or toxicity within the during the treatment of antibiotics. Cranberry juice is useful in the prevention of the addition of fimbriae with the biofilm formation, but this is not confirmed nowadays, but can be used to prevent the urinary tract infection. So prevention of the UTI can be done by the adequate fluid intake, frequent voiding, avoid constipation with the using the fibrous diet or change in the lifestyle, regular and volitional low pressure voiding with the complete bladder emptying is very important thing. Double voiding is very important in case of the recurrent UTI, or if there is recurrent UTI, circumcision may also be required. Antibiotic prophylaxis is required in case of the long-term low-dose antimicrobial prophylaxis. There is cotrimoxazole, nitrofurantoin, cephalexin or cefadroxil can be used. The indication and duration is depend on the patient age and presence or absence of vagicourethral reflex. If there is age of the child is less than 1 year with the UTI, while the awaiting imaging is required, having the indication for the prophylaxis, is there any vagicourethral reflex or frequent febrile UTI having 3 episodes in a year is the indication for the prophylaxis treatment. Long-term follow-up is required for the renal scarring or reflux nephropathy. Early diagnosis and treatment is very important. Physical growth, blood pressure is monitored up to 12 months. Urine analysis for the proteinuria and blood level for the creatinine is required, and annual ultrasound and renal growth is required for the long-term follow-up in case of the urinary tract infection. If the patient having dilated vagicourethral reflex grade 3 to 5, obstructive uropathy is there, any renal abnormalities or impaired kidney function or elevated blood pressure or bladder or bowel dysfunction with the refractory to the primary care measures, they can be referred to pediatric nephrologist. So our take-home message is UTI should be suspected in all cases of the fever without the focus. Most cases of the UTI are the simple uncomplicated and respond rapidly to the outpatient antibiotic treatment without any further sequelae. So early treatment is required. So appropriate treatment, imaging, follow-up, that prevent the long-term sequelae in the patient with the more severe infection or chronic infection. Or any child that proven with the UTI should have imaging studies performed to rule out VUR or vagico-urethric reflex or renal abnormalities. So that's is important thing. So this is all about urinary tract infection. So guys, how was the class? If you like it, and comments in the comments box, subscribe the channel if you not subscribed yet, and press the bell icon to get our notification as early as possible, and share to all students who are preparing for the MBBS, MD, USMLE, NEET Pre-PG or other medical examination. So guys, thank you. We will meet again with the next topic. Thank you very much.